to you, and welcome to another episode of the Cowbell Kingdom podcast on this wet, drizzly Monday outside. It's the first day of spring, and what do we get? More rain. But hey, I'm certainly not complaining. It's one of those drizzle rains that just makes the air smell fresh, and I currently have ducks wandering around in my front yard near our little pool and little pond that we have out there. So everybody's happy outside. And we're nice and happy and cozy inside, ready to bring you another episode of the Cowbell Kingdom podcast. I hope that you guys are comfortable wherever you're at, if you're ready for some sports talk, because I know I am. We got plenty to catch up on. I'm going to be joined right now by my partner. You know him well, Mr. Leo Beas. And Leo, we got plenty to talk about this evening. But first, a little catching up. How you been, and how's your NCAA bracket looking?
Busted. It got busted. I mean... The second Villanova lost, it was over. The second Nevada lost, it was over. It's been tough, Matt. But before we get into basketball, Lonzo Ball, and our beautiful debate that we're going to have, because I'm glad we have different opinions on this, I want to invite everyone Thursday, March 23rd to AG Fest 17. Valley Tire Center is hosting this great event for the community. They're giving out Kings tickets to the 4th of April and the 9th in Section 106. All you got to do is be present. They're going to give out free food, Matt. We're going to be there. We're going to have our own booth. It's going to be fun. It's a couple hours. You can go during lunchtime, sign up, and then enter the giveaway for the pair of tickets in Section 106, April 4th and then 9th against the Rockets. I think that's the last game of the season, if I'm not mistaken, at home. So it's going to be lots of fun. Come out, enjoy the beautiful day. Let's hope it doesn't rain, but if it does, it's still going to be a good day, Matt. And hopefully lots of the people listening right now can come down and join us.
Sounds like an absolutely phenomenal event. It's a shame I won't be able to make it, have some obligations with Sierra College baseball. As yes, you can tell by the A's hat, it is baseball season.
It's A's season, baby.
It's just over the horizon, and this is the exciting time, especially as an A's fan, before there are such things as tallies in the loss column. So we can just look forward to a new year and new prospects. But just this transition into spring, because with the coming of baseball means we're starting to wrap up the basketball season, which means playoffs, and now we got a ridiculously loaded and exciting draft to talk about. So really, it's not going to stop sports-wise for us for the next few months going on to the rest of the year, Leo. I mean, you're talking about coverage of just Cowbell Kingdom, specifically coverage of just the Kings, with what is expected to be, in my opinion, this is going to be the biggest offseason in Sacramento Kings history. It's going to have to be. If not, it'll be a colossal disappointment. You also have baseball season coming up with the excitement of the A's, the Giants, and just more local baseball. Oakland Raiders stuff with Marshawn Lynch. Raiders are expected to make a push for the Super Bowl next year. It's just a good time to be a Northern California sports fan. And we thank you so much for choosing us as an avenue for your sports entertainment. And yes, guys, even though we are Sacramento Kings centered, because that is the team we cover, that is the team we love here in Sacramento, we love to talk multiple different aspects of sports. We tend to focus as much as we can on basketball here on this specific platform, but we always love to talk sports with you. So you can reach out to us anytime if you want to talk A's, if you want to talk even Giants, if you want to talk anything baseball, basketball, football, soccer even. Leo and I are huge soccer guys. I'm a huge WWE guy. We love to talk sports. We love to have you as part of our conversation. We are going to have quite the conversation tonight, Leo, because I know you are a big fan of Lonzo Ball. I am hesitant when it comes to Lonzo Ball. I encourage everybody to actually, you know what I'm going to do, Leo, with your permission. I'm going to pull up the article that I wrote and released earlier today, just explaining kind of my case and my reasoning and my thought process behind Lonzo Ball, because the bottom line is I don't have a problem with Lonzo Ball, the basketball player. I don't at all. And when I read the article or read bits and pieces of it, or if you read it, you'll understand and you'll see that I actually have no problem with Lonzo. It's the way the media has been covering Lonzo and handling Lonzo that is the issue. So we will certainly talk about that in a little bit. We're also going to talk a lot about the NCAA tournament as much as we can, guys that we like, and just specifically how Sacramento really showed up and did a phenomenal job. Everybody at the Golden One Center doing a phenomenal job. Golden One Center is one of 5 sports complexes nominated for Sports Complex of the Year, or Sports Venue of the Year, something of that wording. We're certainly going to talk about that as well. And then one of the really big debates going on right now, Leo, in basketball is resting NBA players. So there's just
It's a disgrace.
It's so much to talk about. I know you're passionate about it, and I think we're gonna also go back and forth on that one as well, because I like to kind of play devil's advocate with that argument, just to kind of get an understanding from a coach or player standpoint. But when I see what Karl Malone came out and said, it was either last night or this morning, he came out and said how like it's a sissies league, and if you're 100%, if you're not banked up, you should be.
He's not wrong.
And we'll definitely talk about that, because his words and the words of a lot of NBA veterans or NBA alumni, legends, carry a lot of weight. So we'll definitely talk about that in a little bit. Right now, though, behind the scenes thing, if you heard a little peeping behind me, that's because my bird is behind me, and I forgot to get rid of him. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass the mic over to you, Leo, and I want you just to talk about your experiences specifically at the Golden One Center, because you've been there for the NCAA tournament. I'm going to pass it over to you. I want you to explain to them just what it's been like for those who maybe haven't been there, and then I'll come back and we'll talk Lonzo Ball and everything to come forward. So sound good to you?
Yes, sir.
All right, I'm going to go kill this bird.
So, guys, I was at the NCAA tournament on Friday. It was a wonderful event, guys. If it wasn't for this marvelous arena that we have now, there is no way on earth that the NCAA would have ever came to Sacramento. Now, Sacramento is a destination for all these big events, and it just doesn't end there with the NCAA. It brings guys like Blake Shelton, Pitbull, Ariana Grande, all the major stars in every single industry. It's a world-class arena, guys. I got to experience Lonzo Ball firsthand, and I'm going to tell you what. I know Matt can hate all he wants and say all he wants about Lonzo. The fact of the matter is this kid can play, and this kid makes his teammates better. Players love to play with Lonzo Ball because they know that at any time they will get the ball. But just the overall experience, the environment was great at the Golden One Center on Friday. It was just a wonderful event to be part of. It was on St. Patrick's Day as well, so that helped. Lots of people came in. The after party was great. You know, El Rey, all the bars around there, it was packed full of people. People were excited. Lonzo Ball just brought that excitement out of everyone. UCLA coasted through that game, and then Lonzo Ball put Kansas State's dreams away towards, I think it was like the 8-minute mark of the second half. He just ended it there, and the game was out of reach, honestly. And on Sunday, he put on a bigger show against a better team in Cincinnati. Like I said, Lonzo is the real deal. It was a pleasure watching him in the best arena in the entire world. So that's that, man.
Well, what did I come back to? Because I come back and I hear you talking about Lonzo Ball and UCLA, but then I look at the comment section and I see Kanye West, best 4-minute concert ever. So obviously there was some kind of dig at a Kanye West concert.
I was talking about how Blake Shelton, Ariana Grande, all the major superstars in every industry want to come to the Golden One because it's a world-class arena, Matt. And, you know, Sacramento is now all of a sudden a great destination for these type of events. Well, I expect a Final Four in the near future, an All-Star game in the near future. Just lots of exciting things are going on right now in Sacramento, man. Yeah, well, and I tell you what, the pictures that came out this weekend of just the jam-packed concourse outside the Golden One Center, there's not a huge abundance of restaurants out there, but for anyone that goes to a game, even a Wednesday night game that's not even sold out against a team like the Denver Nuggets, you look at Sauce that's just down the street. You look at El Rey, which is Kenny Thomas's restaurant. There's another bar just across the street from the Golden One Center, and all of them jam-packed. And that's just the start of where this downtown area is going to go. You see all the construction going on of that brand new hotel that's going to be right there, going to be state-of-the-art, top class, beautiful. This entire area is just growing and sparking and exploding. And it's so exciting that, you know, we've gotten our shining star now planted in the middle of Sacramento in the Golden One Center. And now that shine is going to spread throughout downtown. And it is attractive. And it's not just attractive to us, the people that live there and that may drive by it or see it every day or every week or every month. It's attractive to those people that are in the Bay Area. It's attractive to those people all the way up in Redding, all the way down, maybe even in Southern California, to go up and see a game
or in a concert in a venue that, quite frankly, is better than the Staples Center. And what the Staples Center has that the Sacramento Kings want is that kind of downtown feel, that nightlife feel of after the game, before the game, you can go to the restaurants, go to the skating rink, go bowling, go watch a movie. LA has that. Sacramento's not there yet, but Sacramento's trying to build to that point, and I think they can do it in more of a special, homegrown way that's going to be attractive to a lot of people. And the reason why I say that, you talk about having a Final Four in the future. Absolutely, that's going to happen, and I think really what's holding us back from that is the lack of hotels, which those changes are certainly coming. But we heard about it on our show today, The Drive on Sports 1140 KHTK, that already there are NCAA officials that came that were blown out not just by the venue, but also by the support that these games got. I mean, even the early games were sold out on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday afternoons when people are working. These games are still sold out for teams that are Rhode Island, all the way across the country. And still they're selling out games we're managing to attract here in Sacramento. That just speaks volumes. And then I also saw multiple tweets from NBA writers that said, this place would be a phenomenal host city and host venue for an NBA All-Star game. Guys, that's all coming. It's all super, super exciting, and it's all right here. It's a reality now. The Golden One Center is ours here in Sacramento, and I've been there over 30 times now, and every single time I still walk in there and look around and just go, damn, like I'm not on the road. I'm in Sacramento. This is our venue. And it's pretty incredible just to see the growth and think what we've accomplished in 1 year in terms of attractions. Just think, sky's the limit for the future, man.
And yes, Matt, we are Sacramento proud.
Absolutely, and there's no shortage of that. But one thing we're not too proud of is to see a school from Los Angeles succeeding in Sacramento. But hey, we did get to see some quality talent in those UCLA Bruins. They are part of the Sweet 16. My bracket, by the way, is doing okay. 2 of my Final Four are gone in Louisville and Duke. However, my champion and my semifinalist, my second place and my champion, Arizona, is my champion. And North Carolina is who they're going to be in the championship. Those 2 are still alive. I'm still hopeful that they can hopefully get my bracket pretty strong in our little CBS pool that we have at Sports 1140. But really, UCLA has been the main event, Leo, and rightfully so. I mean, they have Lonzo Ball, who's considered one of the top 3 picks, should be top 2, potentially even number 1. And then they have players like Leaf, and then just a good team, a big program, high expectations. So rightfully so, they are the main event of the evening. But that leads us to our conversation about Lonzo Ball. And I know you're very passionate about the kid. It's going to take me some time to really hash out everything that I wrote in the story and kind of read the story out. So I encourage everybody to get comfortable. But before I do that, and while I kind of cue this up, Leo, why don't you just lay out the things about Lonzo that you see, even if I or others disagree with them, the things that you see about Lonzo that make you so convinced that he is not just rightfully so, a top 3 pick in the draft, but that he is a future superstar talent in the NBA.
Well, just from watching him see 3 plays ahead, and by 3 plays ahead, I mean he sees the floor so well, and all of his teammates run, and they know that at any time he will deliver the ball in a place where they can succeed. And by succeeding, it can be getting an offensive rebound, getting an open layup, an open shot where they're comfortable. The son of the coach, Alfred, I forget his first name, but he is UCLA's, I believe, best 3-point shooter in history. And this year he's broken that record because, life is easy when you have a guy like Lonzo Ball passing you the ball. When Lonzo is coming at you 100 miles an hour, everything opens up for everyone. And it just makes that brand of basketball so fun. And that's where the NBA is moving to. And many people say it's already moved to that up-tempo 3-point shooting game, and Lonzo Ball fits perfectly in there, Matt. And if the Celtics get that number 1 pick, you best believe they will draft Lonzo Ball, because Lonzo Ball will make every single player on that team better. He will make Isaiah Thomas better. I believe Isaiah will go from 30 points a night to maybe even 35 a night, because that's what Lonzo Ball will do. He will make everyone better. Everybody will be ecstatic to play with this guy because he's so unselfish. It's not about me. It's about the team. And I know you're a LeVar Ball hater, and rightfully so. Some people might not like him. Some people do like him. But when people not disrespect, but when they think, when they say Lonzo might be a bust because his dad might be a distraction, that's the silliest thing I've ever heard in my life. I mean, just from the aspect that he will not be playing on the court. It's going to be Lonzo Ball, and then Lonzo Ball is just so much different from his father. And I don't care how loud his father barks, it will not affect what he does on the floor. It hasn't affected yet, and don't expect it to, because when he signs that contract with any NBA team that drafts him in the top 3, Lonzo Ball will be property of that team. And it doesn't matter if LeVar barks. All LeVar is doing is raving about his kid because he believes in his kid. He knows what his kid is all about. Like he says, I know my boy is all about. And you know what? I don't have an issue with that, man. I just don't. And I'm going to say a lot of things, but I'm going to save them because I know what you're going to say. And I'm going to beat you in this debate, hands down. So I just want you to be ready, man.
Well, I'm not necessarily looking to come into here to win a debate to prove a point at the expense of a basketball player. And I think that's what people need to understand, and people need to stop making it a me versus Lonzo Ball or a Lonzo Ball versus aspect, because that's not what it is. And I'm going to do my best to read through this article as quick as I can to kind of hash that stuff out. I wanted to go back to what you said, though, because you called me a LeVar Ball hater. And I think the word hater is thrown around way too often and too loose. And I need to address that really quick, because there can be constructive and formal and appropriate professional criticism of a player without being considered hate just because I may not see eye to eye with other people based off of that player. Just because I don't like Lonzo Ball's game as much as other people may like Lonzo Ball's game doesn't mean I'm hating on the guy. And that's just needed to be established. So I'm going to try.
I didn't call you a Lonzo hater. I called you a LeVar hater. I don't think you're Lonzo at all.
But even a LeVar hater is over the line, because I don't hate LeVar. I don't have anything to do with or problem with LeVar personally. He's a father who's just happened to be gifted with 2, potentially 3 extremely talented sons who are good at basketball. Like, great. That's great for him. I have a problem with what he's done and how he's used that, and that'll come out in the article here. So I'm going to try and power read through most of this. If it feels like it's getting redundant, I may skip through some parts. But at any time, if you want to interject, or if those who are on the comment stream or listening online on social media, anything like that, if you guys want to jump in, share your comments, or just respond, because that's what a lot of these articles and a lot of these columns are for, is to create conversation. And this written format is the best way for me to hash out all of my thoughts and all of my beliefs about this situation without making it seem like it's a Matt versus LeVar, or me versus Lonzo. Me versus Lonzo. I want to see Lonzo fail, because that simply isn't the case. But basically, I begin with this. There's no such thing as guaranteed success in professional sports. There's God-given talent and ability, but no assurance that the full potential will be realized. The NBA draft every year proves to be a guessing game. Those regarded as the greatest basketball scouts on the planet will get it wrong multiple times every single year. In fact, the only guarantee in a draft is that there will be more misses than hits. The 2017 NBA draft class is expected to be one of the strongest in recent memory. Politically, even in basketball history, or potentially, even in basketball history, this class could be just top of the charts. We just don't know, which is really the theme of the whole article. We just don't know. This year's class of NBA hopefuls is filled to the brim with naturally talented players. But the unfortunate truth is that maybe only 25% will actually live up to that talent. Every draft has its busts and surprises. Both are actually more common than a player performing as expected by NBA scouts. It's not the scouts' ability to analyze talent that isn't important. It's their projections. People put way too much confidence in what can be classified as a professional educated guess, because that's exactly what it is. It's a professional educated guess. Any assumption made by or on the future of a player based off of their path is a professional, educated guess. Yet, as history will prove time and time again, the NBA is a completely different league. It's a completely different league than where even the world's best and brightest go to swim or more often sink. So really, guys, just enough about Lonzo Ball. Just enough talking about Lonzo Ball in such a crazy, excited light. Just cool it on the kid. Is he an incredible talent? Absolutely. Should he be considered one of the top 3 picks in the draft based off of that talent? Yeah, of course he should. But is he a future star in the league like so many are guaranteeing? Because people are guaranteeing that he will be? No, not yet, and maybe not ever. The problem isn't Lonzo. This is where I go and dive into it's not Lonzo the player that's the problem. In fact, he has done everything right. He's played hard, put up great numbers, shown his natural ability, and helped lead UCLA to the Sweet 16 in the NCAA National Tournament. All great things worthy of a shining resume for the draft, because that's really what he's playing for right now. He's playing to put himself in the best situation to get a high draft pick. Lonzo is smart enough to know that there's no such thing as guarantees in this league. And if he wants to live up to his full potential, he's going to need a lot more work and a lot more development. The problem is the fans, the media, and his father, LeVar Ball, that turned his natural ability into a quick headline. Here's the news flash. All this does is hurt Lonzo. He's done enough to prove that he belongs as one of the top picks in the draft. He's already done enough. He's earned his chance to play in the NBA and to see if he can have as good of a career as he believes he can have. He earned that. The hype, the headlines, and all the nonsense that's come out of LeVar Ball's mouth has only made things worse. Because how many players have we seen come into the league with loads of expectation on their shoulders only to crack under the pressure? People forget that Lonzo is only 19 years old. His brain and body have not even come close to their full development, let alone his career. So settle down with the superstar claims and the hype cannons. This is where I get into LeVar Ball. LeVar Ball's comments are not even worth the time to address. They're meaningless words out of the mouth of an overbearing father, content with living out the rest of his life mooching off of the success of his sons, who have far more talent than he ever will. It's really sad, but that can be expected from someone who is more of a fan than he is a father. And the same can be also expected from basketball fans. Of course, they have a right to be excited, and they will, more than likely, always blow things out of proportion because it's fun. It's what fans do. It certainly doesn't help things, but that's not the real problem. And I'm almost done here, guys. The real problem is major sports outlets like ESPN, Fox Sports, CBS, etc., they should be ashamed of the content that they have put out or allowed on their programming. The fact that LeVar Ball gets multiple TV segments to spew his garbage to the whole country, and they pander to it. Why? For views. It's shameful. Sports journalism and media is supposed to be providing honest and unbiased coverage of athletics and athletes. So pushing the Lonzo is just as good as Michael Jordan or Lonzo is better than Steph Curry narrative does neither. It's neither. Remember, guys, the real victim here is Lonzo, whose draft stock has only diminished because of all that hype and attention. His stock was at its highest point when it was just about what he did on the court. It was at its peak when the name LeVar Ball wasn't a household name throughout every home in America. Suddenly, my desire to see Lonzo on a team that I support is at an all-time low for 2 major reasons. One, the unwanted distraction, which he is going to bring distraction with him, whether that's his or not. He's bringing distraction with him, with the media and with his father. And then the other is the unfair expectation. None of it is Lonzo's fault. He's actually handled things as well as he could have. He's kept his mouth shut, and he's let his play do the talking. Yet the hype and overbearing coverage has left a lot of people with a sour taste as we approach draft night, June 22nd. He has yet to play a single second in the NBA, and it is all too possible that the young man's dreams and potential will be crushed beneath the weight of misguided expectation. Let's make it about what's on the court again. Let the kid develop in his own time into the star that we all know that he can be. So essentially, that's the article. I know a lot of people are probably going to get fired up and passionate about that. I know you are as well. So I'm going to give you, I've talked enough. I want you to respond and really pick out what you see and what you don't out of that. Not just the article, but just the conversation about Lonzo and maybe some of the points that I brought up.
there's, with all due respect, there are so many points I disagree with in your article, and I have so much love for you, but just the fact that you call him a victim, he's no victim, man. I mean, he's going to be a millionaire. He's going to be a top 3 pick, probably the number 1 pick overall. So from that point, I don't see him as a victim, and he was a top 3, top 1, or top 2 pick without LeVar saying anything. And I believe you said it hurt his draft stock. There's no way that's even accurate, because
there are NBA GMs and there are NBA executives that have come out and said that they would not want. People have talked about it. It's been on social media.
I mean, Matt, he's a top 3 pick no matter what happens,
and that's because
to play well on the court, though.
He's a top 3 talent because, like I said in the article, because of his play. The problem is the media attention and the attention that his father has put on his shoulders.
It's not.
It might not hurt his stock, but it could hurt him as a player. That's the point. We've seen hundreds of players come into this league with that much expectation on their shoulders because Lonzo Ball is coming into the league with media attention on him, expecting him not to be a superstar 3 or 4 years from now. They're expecting him to be, quote, Jason Kidd right now, better than Steph Curry right now, the next Michael Jordan. That's right now.
His dad said that nobody is saying that he's better than Steph.
There are headlines all over ESPN. The point is, it's there. It's now on his shoulders, and whether people believe or whether LeVar is a good source of conversation or a good source of information or not, which he's not, people see that, hear that from his father, and they're going to believe that, and they're going to blow that out of proportion. Lonzo cares because that's expected.
Lonzo doesn't care. Lonzo's been living with his father for 19 years, Matt. This is nothing new. Even last night, Lonzo said
Lonzo's father.
The only difference now is that you guys put a mic in my father's face,
which is a freaking huge difference.
There is no difference. Lonzo's been
You're meaning to tell me there's no difference between his dad not being on national media and then his dad being on every TV in America. You're naive. You're naive if you think that's zero difference. It doesn't matter as a player. As a player, I told you, his skill set is there. The problem is mentally. The amount of pressure you're putting on this kid's shoulders, you are setting him up to fail. Just shut your mouth and let him play the game. That's what makes him good. That's what got him there in the first place. Everybody needs to be quiet because if he collapses under the amount of pressure that we have put on his shoulders, he is going to fail. Nobody has lived up to that expectation except for 2 guys or 3 guys. Kobe, LeBron, and Michael Jordan. He's neither of them. Right now, he's not. He could be at 24 or 25 or 26, but he has to develop into that. Right now, he's not putting up the numbers, or he's not looking like the player that all 3 of them were. He's not. Could he become? Absolutely. And that's what I say in the article. But right now, he's not that person. And for them to put that pressure on him, we've seen hundreds of kids in this league crack because of that. We've seen hundreds of people with all the expectation in the world come into the NBA and bust and be terrible because they can't handle the pressure. I'm not saying that's going to happen to Lonzo. I hope it doesn't because I think Lonzo is the best talent in the draft. I do. I believe that. But this expectation hurts him more than it helps him. He's not a victim himself, but he is a victim of all this pressure and all this unnecessary attention. It's held over his head. It's going to factor into decision-making, whether you want to say so or not. People are thinking about, if I draft Lonzo, do I have to deal with his father? How are teammates? How are my teammates? How are my players that I already have? How are my veterans going to react to a father that's basically already said, my son is better than all of you right now? You think Isaiah Thomas is going to be okay with handing the reins over to Lonzo Ball and becoming the new superstar? And because that's essentially what everybody's expecting or saying that he's going to be. There's going to be aftermath. There's going to be fallout from this kind of stuff, Leo, and we can't just ignore that.
Nobody is saying that he's not going to fail in the league. He's going to have bad games. He's going to have a bad stretch of games, but he's going to bounce back from it because that's what great players do. Now, is he great yet? No, of course not. He has yet to play a second in the NBA, but right. If that's the case, then we shouldn't be excited about any prospect coming out, Matt. And at the end of the day, LeVar is putting an X on his son because he wants Isaiah, Kyrie, Steph He wants these players to go after him, and he wants to go. He wants them to go 100% because that's the only way he'll get better, Matt.
He's not ready to live up to the potential and
it
the
doesn't matter if he's not ready for that. The point
then
is,
you can't make the same.
Setting an X on Lonzo Ball will make him better. That's what his dad said.
It'll either make him better or it'll flush him out of the league.
That's different.
He's a 19-year-old kid.
Having an X on a basketball court, it's a game, man. It's not a big deal.
Every single night he's going to go up against the best players in the world with the biggest X on his shoulder as a 19-20-year-old kid. And
that's how he's going to get better.
Out of the league. That's the point.
How he's going to get better.
He hasn't done anything
to how he's going to get better.
Comments.
What? Why can't you respect that his dad is putting in X
because his dad is a moron. His dad says the stupidest stuff on the planet.
That's subjective. That's your opinion.
No, that's not opinion. That's fact. He says he's.
Matt, stop.
He says Lonzo Ball right now
is
not
a fact.
Than Steph Curry. That's not an opinion. That's moronic.
Not a fact.
That's a moronic statement. My
Okay.
son, my 19, 20-year-old son is better than Steph Curry.
Okay, he's not better than Steph Curry.
Michael Jordan.
But a lot of things that he says,
I can beat Charles Barkley one-on-one. Wrong. You can't. You average what, 2 points a game? He's making statements. All he's doing is taking a spotlight away from his son and putting it on himself. He's not doing it so that his son will do better in the league. He doesn't care about that. If he did, he would shut his freaking mouth and let his son do the talking because that's what he did. Lonzo Ball got to where he was because Lonzo Ball was a good basketball player. That's why he got to where he was. No, I'm not wrong. Lonzo Ball needs to LeVar Ball needs to shut his mouth and go away because LeVar Ball.
Why would he go away if he's been in his life for 19 plus years? Lonzo Ball is who he is because of his father, though.
You can be a father to a player without being a nuisance on national media.
That's your opinion.
What superstar?
Can you let me talk so I can tell you why he's doing things?
Please, you tell me. Make LeVar seem like a genius to me, please.
He is a genius. He is a genius because he's growing the family brand, Matt. How different is it from all the golf parents, from every other parents? The difference is that LeVar, he calculates everything he says, Matt, because his goal is to have that $1 billion shoe deal. And you know what? He's going to get it. And if he aims high enough, he's going to get it. He told his sons, somebody has to be better than Michael Jordan. Why not you? I am giving you permission. If you listen to my interview with Grant Bichart, I am giving you permission to be better than Michael Jordan. Why not have that mindset? He also told his son, you know what? When things are going well, it's not because of you. It's because of your teammates. When things go bad, you will take ownership for all the faults. That's the right mindset to have, Matt.
See,
but you're not talking about that.
No,
Lonzo is who he is because of his father.
But then he goes out on social media and contradicts himself by saying, yes, it does, Leo.
Growing his brand. He's growing the brand.
So you're telling me right now he can tell
how different is it from every other parent, Matt? The difference is he's using social media to his advantage.
Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, Charles Barkley did not need their dad to go on.
They didn't have dad. Like most of these guys didn't have dads.
Okay.
These guys didn't have dads.
I'm pretty sure Michael Jordan had a dad. I'm pretty sure all these guys had family members.
That's why they were born, but their dads weren't. Many dads, many players, most of them, and these are facts, are moms. Like LeVar said,
great.
PMs, most agents take advantage of their moms. And LeVar will be his agent in essence for his contract for his rookie year because he doesn't need an agent, because he doesn't need to give up that 4% to anybody. The rookie contracts are scaled, Matt. Everything he does is genius because now everyone is talking about the baller brand. That's what he wanted. That's what he's getting. If you like him or not, you're going to listen. And that's all he cares about.
The baller brand is built on the foundation of the skills of his son, which is where it got started. As soon as his son started becoming relevant, there's nothing wrong with that.
Exactly.
That's the good part. That's the good part. The point is, he's taken this brand based off of the foundation of his son's skill, and he hasn't made it about his son. He's made it about
How has he not made it about his son? Where are you getting this information? Just because he said that he's better than Michael, which he will beat Charles Barkley one-on-one right now. He would destroy Charles Barkley, first and foremost, but that's just LeVar being LeVar. LeVar's from South Central LA.
It's moronic. That's
how people talk in South Central LA. It's nothing new.
Ridiculous. It has no place on sports.
That's your opinion.
Outlets.
That's your opinion.
It's not news. It's not journalism. It's not
everything. And everything we see on TV is not news, Matt. People like entertaining things, and he's feeding what people want, and you can't deny that.
How many times have you come on this
platform? Am I right with that?
Listen, how many times have you come on this platform and said, we push ethical journalism because that's what's important, is journalism with ethics? As I said in the story, their job is to be ethical about athletics and athletes. They're supposed to have an unbiased, they're supposed to push the story and tell it how it is. They don't do that by giving the microphone to a self-centered guy who is literally just going to preach nonsense. I'm going to go back to what you said, because I love what LeVar said about, I give you permission to be better than Michael. That's great. I love hearing that from a dad, because there's thousands of dads that say that to their kids.
That's not true. That's a lie.
A dad's going to tell his kid to.
He's not going to say that. I mean, he's not. I mean, that mindset is like Graham said, it's a very unique mindset.
Okay,
very few dads will tell you.
That's beside the point. He can say that, and I'm totally fine with that. But when he goes and then you go, what else did he say? He said something about what his teammates are the reason why he got there, right? That's great. I love that. I'm totally okay with him saying that. I'm okay with him saying that and just that on ESPN. But when you say something like that to your kid and then you go on ESPN and contradict yourself completely by saying, oh, it's all about your teammates. Your teammates are the way you got here. Oh, but by the way, ESPN, my son is better than Steph Curry right now, and he's the next Michael Jordan. Boom. Suck it. That's essentially.
He didn't say he's the next Michael Jordan.
He's said that on ESPN.
He's never said he is the next Michael. Stop.
I am better. My son is better than Steph Curry. He said that in plenty of.
He said that, but he didn't say he's better than Michael or he's the next Michael. He said he can beat. LeVar said he can beat Michael, and he didn't say Lonzo was going to be better than Michael.
Oh, because that's a lot better. He can beat Michael.
No, LeVar said that about himself.
Well, see, and another even more proof to the pudding of why LeVar Ball is an idiot if he thinks he can beat Michael Jordan. Barkley, I may get him because Barkley's a fat couch potato. But Michael Jordan, stop it. It's ridiculous. The point is, and the fact that the conversation is centered on LeVar and not centered on Lonzo is a problem. If he wants to build his son's brand and be in his son's corner, I love that. And I think LeVar Ball,
it's not just his son. It's a family brand. I mean, LeVar started the brand. There is nothing wrong with what he's doing, man. He's building. Everybody has a brand nowadays. Everyone wants to build a brand. It just happens that LeVar has 3 prodigies and that he's using social media to his advantage. You like it or not, that's what people want. People keep up with the Kardashians. People like this mindless television. So he's just doing what everyone else is doing, and he's being good at it because now everybody is listening to him, Matt.
It's sad and it's pathetic that it's based off of the foundation of a son who is literally keeping his mouth shut and doing things the right way by just playing the game of basketball and being a damn good basketball player, because that's what Lonzo does, and that's who Lonzo is. And he's gotten to this point by hard work. Has LeVar been a super big influence in his life and helped him to get to this point in his career? Absolutely. And I believe LeVar Ball would be the first person to go to bat for Lonzo every day of the week. And I have no problem with that.
And LeVar just said, Matt, if Lonzo or any of his sons don't pan out, none of this matters. The point is, let me tell you why he's doing it, Matt. He's setting the bar so high for his kids
that they'll fail.
He knows his kids are capable of doing it. That's what Kobe did coming into the league. Kobe wanted to be better than Michael Jordan. He failed, but you know what? It still landed him in the top 10 in NBA history. So if Lonzo fails to reach Steph Curry or Michael Jordan or LeBron James, if he fails, you better believe he's going to be damn near close to that. And if that and when it's all said and done, he's going to be one of the best to ever live, and that's what he wants. It's okay to fail, but he wants to set the bar so high that when he does fail, he still lands as one of the best ever. I have no issue with that whatsoever.
The issue is that by setting this bar so high, by making these
your opinion. I just gave you why he's doing it. I don't get why you don't comprehend that.
Which is based off of your opinion. Now I can base my opinion.
That's what he said.
Okay, great. And he's also said a bunch of crap that contradicts what you just said.
How?
Leo, you literally just said that he has said things like it's about your teammates, and he has said things like it's not
so
about
that's good.
But
that's
then
good,
he's
right?
come out, shut up. Then he's come out and said that it's about, or then my son is better than Steph Curry. That's an immediate contradiction. Oh, it's about your team. Your teammates got you here. Now let's make it about you. That's a contradiction. That's wrong. To me, that's just my opinion, but that's wrong. And a lot of people share that opinion. A lot of professionals in this industry share that opinion. Does that make it right? No, because it's an opinion. The point is, it should not be about what LeVar Ball says. And if he sets this bar this high, there is a good chance Lonzo is going to fail. There is an opportunity.
There is also a good chance that Lonzo will succeed.
Sure. And I totally, and I've paid respect to that. And I said in the article, I think he is the best college player right now, and I think he can be a superstar. The problem that I have is this stuff doesn't help him. This stuff doesn't. It makes everybody.
That's your opinion.
Well,
I believe it does help him because now he has an X on him, and he's going to get better because he's going to get everyone's best every single night. And that's the only way you get better, by playing the best in the world, and that's how you get better.
But if he's not your opinion, if he is not capable of playing up to the standard of everybody's best every single night, sure, it's going to make him better, but it also has a very good chance of washing him out of the league if he's not able to compete.
Not going to get washed out the league, Matt. He is an elite playmaker.
You haven't seen him play a second of NBA basketball.
It doesn't matter. I mean, he sees the court like many few players in the NBA right now don't see the court like Lonzo Ball. Matt, stop.
He has not played a second of NBA basketball. It does matter.
He can run a team right now.
You were super high on Chris Dunn. He was a bust. I'm not comparing him to Dunn or
different players. Just way different players, though.
It's not a comparison. Jimmer Fredette was.
Don't ever bring up Jimmer in this conversation. No, Jimmer's 6'2", slow.
The point is,
he's slow.
Jimmer had all.
He's not a playmaker. I mean,
you're missing the point. The point is, Jimmer had all this attention on him, and people got him wrong. People bought in.
Nobody said he was going to be a star, though. Nobody with credibility said Jimmer Fredette will be a superstar. Who? Name him.
I'm not talking about him being a superstar. I'm saying they
comes out with pressure, Matt. The point is, if that's
and most people don't live up to it,
then we should not put pressure. Like we should not be excited about any player coming out.
No, wrong.
If that's the case,
be excited about a player like Lonzo Ball, and you can be excited and be hopeful for his future.
So we can't say Markelle Fultz is going to be a superstar, right? Or we can't say Dennis Smith Jr. is going to be a superstar because that's just too much pressure.
Wrong. You can say, I believe Lonzo Ball is going to be a superstar. Okay, you can say that, but you can't come out and say what other people are saying now because of LeVar and because of the national media.
What are they saying?
He's going to be better than Steph Curry.
Nobody has said he's going to be better than Steph Curry.
You live on Twitter as much as exactly, and people have bought into it. People have bought. Just go on social media.
Okay, you said the professionals have said that. I have yet to hear one professional say he is going to be better than Steph Curry. That was LeVar Ball.
I'm talking about the expectations.
No one has said that yet.
Putting on the expectations being put on his shoulders by his father. Exactly. His father and fans are putting expectations on his shoulders. The national media.
Fans believe whatever they want. Fans hate Vlade 1 week and they love him the next.
National media is running with these headlines that Lonzo Ball is going to be the next Steph Curry. That is the headline.
According to LeVar Ball.
But it doesn't say that on the headline. It says in big bold letters.
Yes,
Leo,
it does say that.
Oh my God, dude! ESPN. What does it say on the sidebar? It says, "quote Lonzo
will be better than Steph according to father LeVar Ball." You're right.
It does not say all of that on the box. It says, "quote Lonzo Ball is going to be better than Steph Curry." Somebody sees that.
I can send you screenshots right now, bro.
Go ahead. Go for it. Do it right now. Do it right now and send it for the chat, please. Do it. Go ahead right now. You have screenshots in your back pocket. I'm sure you do because you're that well prepared. Because everything I say is moronic to you because you have this idea in your head for some reason that this guy is an instant star right away and should have every spotlight on the planet put on his head. He doesn't deserve that because he hasn't earned that. Can he earn that? Yes.
That's not his fault that he has all the spotlight, though.
And it's LeVar's fault, and it's wrong. It should not be on his shoulders because it can hurt him. Is it just LeVar's
fault, or is it the our industry's fault?
Exactly. What did I say?
What's your point? That's what I'm saying. So Lonzo has all the attention, but if I come out and say, you know what, Markelle Fultz is the best player he's going to be the best player. Why can't I say that's my opinion though?
That's fine. And people have their opinions all the time. It happens in every single draft.
Exactly, and not everybody's right all the time. I mean, sure. I don't see an issue with. There's nothing else to talk about. Baseball season hasn't started, so they have to fill in with something, Matt.
The problem is they're not talking about him on the court. They're talking about what his dad's saying. They're talking about what his brand is. That's where it's the problem to me. And that, I mean, the point is, you asked for a point. I've said it 100 times, but I will reiterate it one more time, and then I think it's time to move on because this really isn't going anywhere. The point is, Lonzo Ball is a damn good basketball player, and he's proved that he's a damn good basketball player. His play has earned him a spot in the top 2, potentially #1 overall pick in the draft. He has earned his shot to at least try to be an NBA player. He's earned that himself. He's done that by his play. He does not need his father. He does not need ESPN. He does not need fans to look at him like he's the next greatest player on the planet because people have bought into that hype like wildfire. He does not need that on his shoulders because it raises the bar.
Don't say everyone because not everyone believes in that.
I said a lot of people. I didn't say everybody agrees.
A lot of people don't think he's going to live up to that, like yourself.
Exactly.
So don't say a lot. It's not a lot of people. I would say it's 50-50, Matt.
No, it's more than that. At least the vocal majority is on the side that Lonzo Ball is going to be the next biggest thing in the NBA. They could be right. I hope that they're right. But as of right now, I think that pressure, based off of what we've seen historically, based off of what we've seen in the past, that much pressure on a rookie tends to be more hurtful than it does helpful. I think he can live up to it. I think he has the potential to live up for it. I just don't think that there's a place. That's the point. That's it. There you go.
Yeah, I think where we disagree is just with his father and how he's going about things. Honestly, we both think Lonzo's a very good basketball player. I think he's going to be a star. You're doubtful about, which is fine, which I respect that. And I respect people who say, what's his name is going to be #1, Fultz. I'm okay with Fultz being #1. I'm not going to yell at someone and say, no, Lonzo's the best. Okay. Where you and I disagree is LeVar Ball, and that's okay. It's subjective, like politics. It's subjective. Lots of people don't like Trump. Some people hate him. Some people love him. It's all subjective, Matt.
You opened a can of worms now.
I'm just saying, how different is it from what Trump said during his campaign? He said crazy things, and people listened. That's what got him there. People will listen. That's what LeVar is doing. It's called strategic marketing. Everyone does it, but now that a father is doing it, it's bad all of a sudden. Come on, people are such hypocrites, man. It's ridiculous.
Well, I mean, I don't know how we can.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So I brought a valid point. Yeah, I mean, it's called strategic marketing. He's very calculated in everything that he says.
But it's not needed.
He wants to build a brand. I see nothing wrong with building a brand. He wants to have a reality show. He wants to be the first basketball family. I have no issue with that, Matt. I don't.
I just think it's pathetic. I think it's pathetic to use a skill set by your son for your own personal brand and your own personal gain. If Lonzo came out and support,
it's not just his brand.
Lonzo is not out here puffing his brand and saying the same things. Lonzo is not coming out saying
he has his dad for that. That's his marketing guru.
Which to me just is sad. I just don't think there's a place for that in the league. I think
and I respect your opinion. I don't agree with it though.
Okay. Well, we're gonna move on now because we have to talk about resting in the NBA because there's plenty of debate going on about that, and I know a lot of fans are extremely passionate about it. I mean, we have 2 marquee games in a row. That Spurs-Warriors game was embarrassing, Leo. The fact that San Antonio Spurs had all their injuries and all their players resting, and then the Warriors rested Curry. Durant was out injured. Iguodala, Thompson,
Green.
and Draymond Green all in one night. It's kind of embarrassing that a marquee game that's on national television that you could point out on a schedule at the beginning of the season and see, oh, that's going to be a good game. It's closer. It's like after the All-Star breaks or approaching playoff time. Who knows where these two will be in the standings? Book it right now. That's probably going to be a great game. And then what did the Cleveland Cavaliers do? Almost identically the same thing, resting their big 3 in a game in LA in the Staples Center on national TV against the Los Angeles
I know
Clippers.
someone that paid $1,300 to watch LeBron, and he was crying in his YouTube video, so upset that he spent that much money and watched LeBron drink coffee on the bench. Like, oh my God, I felt so bad for him, man.
Yeah, no, and it's a shame because it is a problem. However, I want to present an alternate side. Until there's rules made about this, every coach has every right and every prerogative to make this move. In my opinion, a coach's job and their decisions, especially a coach like Kerr or Ty Lue or those coaches that are trying to make or Greg Popovich, they're trying to make a championship push. They're going to try and do everything they can to put themselves in the best situation to win, right? That's what their job is to do as a head coach. So whatever's in their power, and Greg Popovich is notorious for this. I mean, he did it with Hack-a-Shaq. He said, I don't like the rules necessarily. I don't like doing this kind of stuff, but strategically, it's what gives me the best chance to win, what gives me the best opportunity right then and there and right here and now. So I don't have a problem with head coaches resting players if they feel that they can get away with it. I don't, because it's strategically, it's completely in their right to do so. Now, had I have been a paying customer, like you said, your friend that paid $1,300 for a ticket to see that, had I forked up a bunch of money to see LeBron come to the Golden One Center literally one time a year, had I done that and he not played, not just him, all 3 of them didn't play, of course I would be furious. And I have all the sympathy in the world for those fans. But until a rule is made about it, which I think Adam Silver is going to have to talk to the Players Association and the coaches about, the coaches have every single right to do this. And most of the time, it's really not the player's choice. Sometimes it is, but a lot of these players are super competitive and will play any given night through thick and thin and injuries. But it's the coach's decision ultimately to make these moves. So in that sense, I don't have a problem.
Yeah, man. And I take issues with Draymond Green saying, well, we're players and we deserve to rest. Our schedule is crazy. And I was like, are you aware? Yeah. Are you aware that the Kings went through that in the beginning of the season? Are you aware that every other NBA team goes through this type of scheduling, Draymond Green? Are you aware that the fans and that sponsorships pay millions upon millions of dollars so you can have a nice salary and play a child's game, Draymond Green? So please cut the crap and start paying dues and start being realistic about things. It was an abomination to not play that game. At the end of the day, I know you're gonna say, "Oh, it's my GM and it's my coach's decision. It was their idea to rest me." If you're a player, and most players in the 70s and 80s, they would have played that game if they were healthy. If you can play the game, you should be playing the game.
And I think
that's simple.
And I think in a lot of ways, you're absolutely right. And Karl Malone, like we mentioned or alluded to earlier on the podcast, said something very, very similar. And I encourage you to go and look that up and check it out online. It was on all over ESPN, SportsCenter, Fox. And it's nothing new. I mean, we've seen a bunch of NBA vets and a bunch of alumni and legends like Karl Malone come out and say things like this. Charles Barkley has certainly been very passionate about it. I think you hit the nail on the head, Leo, when you said shut your mouth when it comes to Draymond Green, because first off, when it comes specifically to the Golden State Warriors, and I posted this, is there a team that bitches more that could be in the best possible situation? They are literally one of the greatest franchises in the history of the National Basketball Association. They have the record for most wins in a single season. But not too long ago, they lost their 11th game of the season, and all they did was bitch and moan and whine about the officiating when they, quite honestly, get more calls than almost any other team in the league, with the exception of maybe LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers. That's just the truth. You can't dispute that. You can see that when it happens. That's what happens with good teams. That's not their fault, but they take advantage of it. They bitch and moan and cry about it. Now what? Kevin Durant gets welcomed back to Oklahoma City. Oh, boo-hoo. He wasn't treated well. Oh, shut up. I mean, come on. Is this really the league that we're living in? Is this really the world that we're living in, that the Golden State Warriors are whining and complaining about how the Oklahoma City Thunder treated not the Oklahoma City Thunder, I should say the fan base treated Kevin Durant on his return to Oklahoma City after he, quite frankly, stabbed the team in the back by leaving them to go play for the team that beat them in the finals? That's pathetic. That's sad. And it's moronic, and it's hypocritical when you see the videos. How many videos have surfaced of Golden State Warrior fans blatantly cussing and yelling F you to LeBron James at games?
All the time.
It's pathetic, and it's sad, Leo, that, and not to go off too big on a rabbit trail, but the Warriors are bitching and moaning and complaining about it. So to bring it back, the fact that Draymond Green, who is a young player, is complaining about playing time and saying, oh, we needed this rest, we needed it. It's sad. If you want to just be honest, just be honest. Coach thinks that we need to rest tonight because it puts us in the best situation to win. Because everybody knows that. It puts us in the best situation. We want to be as fresh as we can for the NBA Finals. You say that. I don't necessarily like it as a fan, but at least it's true, and at least I can expect it and understand it as the coach's decision. Don't come out and try and pull one over my face and tell me that you needed the rest because you've had a really, really rough schedule. Even though you play more teams. I think I saw a stat and I have to look it up. I think the Warriors have played more teams on the back. Teams have played. Let me try that again. The opponents of the Golden State Warriors have come off back-to-backs more than any other matchup in the league. The Warriors face more teams coming off of back-to-backs than anyone else in the NBA. So if you're going to complain about that and you only have 13 wins plus one of the greatest franchises of all time stacked with players, it's pathetic.
Yeah, I mean, how much more can we say about that? Again, let's just talk about Adam Silver, and people might be brushing this off, but this is a major, major issue. Mm-hmm. I think Grant was saying that Van Gundy and Mark Jackson and Green on back-to-back weeks, I believe, back-to-back Saturdays, they were just calling out the NBA and just saying it was a complete joke for these guys to rest. And again, take my hat off to those three guys, by far the best in the business. And they, when they start saying it's a joke and it's an abomination to the game of basketball, the NBA better listen, because if they don't, things are going to get bad. And just like they signed these billion-dollar or millions of dollars network deals, and all these players are getting paid way, way too much, they should be responding by playing. And fans want to get the best buck for their money. Or the best money for their buck. I don't know. Point is, it's frustrating being a fan when you go and pay $1,300 to watch LeBron James play and watch him drink coffee and smile the entire game. That's just a joke. And that it makes me cringe, and it just hurts my stomach when I think about that. But we've been blessed, and we're lucky that LeBron did play at the Golden One. Right. And all the great players really play well, or they play and they want to play at the Golden One. So we haven't had that happen yet. But if it does happen, I mean, I can see fans just go ballistic if these guys didn't play, man. And I don't know. It's just a huge mess that the NBA has at hand. And David Stern fined the Spurs a couple years ago when they rested their big three, and
$50,000.
Yeah, so I think they should start finding all these teams triple of what David Stern did, and that way they learn their lesson. And this isn't a joke,
Yeah. Rather than fine them, Leo, I think a definitive rule needs to be put into place here. A rule that I can understand both sides of the argument, and it's not
You
going to be
can't put
one
a rule
extreme.
though.
Well, there needs to be something changed in the NBA rule book to allow for these kind of things to happen. And it needs to be worked out between the Players Association and the league itself, because there's rights for both sides. And then I think also coaches have to be involved as well, because every side has a piece of this that's right. I mean, the fans are super important. They deserve to see the best product. The players are super important. You want them to rest and be in the best situation they can so they can make a title run. The coaches are super important because they're going to use the best strategy they can. Everybody has a piece to this pie that's a valid piece of the argument. So in my opinion, the only way things are going to change is by compromise. Now, one of the things that I know it's been thrown out there, so I'm not going to claim it as my idea. It's not even close to my idea, but one of the ideas that I've heard that I've actually really liked, I don't know how specifically they'd be able to work out all the details, Leo, and I'm wondering if you've thought about this at all, is the idea of if you want to rest your players, you have to do it at home. And that can still stab fans or hurt fans or make fans unhappy, but at least they're your fans in a building where I understand some people only can go to one game a year, can only travel to go to one game a year or whatever. And there's always alternative cases, but there are still a bunch of other chances to go see LeBron and that team or the Warriors to go see them in their home arena or in like the Q in Cleveland. So that makes it, I think, a little more bearable or a little more understandable rather than when LeBron goes to LA, at least to play the Clippers, one time a year. When LeBron comes to Sacramento, when LeBron goes to Denver one time a year, and you take that away or rest him on that one, it's just it's not a good look, and it's really sad for the fans, and it's pathetic that it's allowed to happen. So I'm curious your thoughts, really, just on the idea of making it home specific. You can only rest these players at home. Again, I don't know how they work out the details, but I think there's some compromise there that could work.
I don't know about that. And I want to go back to how you said they should place a rule or have a rule in place. I don't think they can, because it's so easy for a team to say, oh, my guy has a sore ankle. So that's technically a valid reason to rest their guys. So, and this time of year, it's like I said, it's as easy as just saying sore elbow, tendon meningitis on, I don't know, he has some kind of sore something or sprain something. So again, I don't see how they implement an actual rule, Matt, and it's just really hard to not do this. I mean, and even if you say, well, you have to investigate the doctors, now that's going an extra step further and more of a mess. And it's just a mess, and it's just so hard to control this, Matt. And the same thing you can say about tanking. Like, it's so hard to not tell these teams to tank, right? And it's two big messes that really has no real solution to it, but just to be ethical about it and to approach it in the best way for everyone. And there needs to be a compromise. I just don't think there will be a rule implemented where there can be an actual compromise or an actual solution. It's going to have to be up to the players and the coaches and see how they handle that. And yeah, we might have to just do what you say and do it at home only and not on the road. So, and we'll see though.
But change has to, in my opinion, there just has to be a meet in the middle somewhere. And I think it'll be interesting to see maybe this offseason when the league meetings come around, how much involvement there is with ownership, with the league, with coaches, players association, etc. Because it is a problem, Leo, and it's a problem that's getting more and more prevalent. And I might be naive or wrong, but I don't remember this being so much of a problem 3-4 years ago. I mean, Popovich kind of started it off, but in my opinion, he's had the most valid reason out of everybody to start it off, because he had Tony Parker, Tim Duncan, and Manu Ginobili. I mean, these are not young guys. So to see the Golden State Warriors do this, where their oldest guy was Andre Iguodala, and even he is not all that old, I just think it's wrong. But again, unless there's a rule in place, I don't blame coaches for doing it. I mean, there's nothing in the rules against it. It's sound strategy. I don't care if the Clippers beat me. I don't care if the Spurs win, they're already shorthanded as it is. Like, it doesn't matter to me right now, because in the grand scheme of things, I'm shooting for a playoff series, and I want these guys to be as healthy as possible. And you look at players like Steph Curry, who have had injury problems. I mean, you look at Kevin Durant, who's had injury problems. Kevin Love just returned from an injury. Kyrie Irving has been injured before. There's always reasons why resting players could be a good thing. And everybody at this point in the season is banged up, Leo. So I completely agree with absolutely that you're saying. And it's just frustrating, that there just is no clear answer here. But the biggest victims, the ones that suffer the most from it, unfortunately, are the fans that now, with how big the NBA is, pay a lot of money, especially for those games. When LeBron and the Cavaliers are coming to town, the tickets are going to be almost twice or three times value. And for someone who lives on the West Coast, who grew up idolizing LeBron, to go to a game, to have your dad or your mom surprise you with those tickets, to go to see your icon, and to sit 6 rows from the court, only to learn on the drive over there that LeBron is not going to play, your heart breaks for these people.
Yeah, I think we're pretty much done with this. Lots of people have lots of questions. A lot of it has to do with draft picks and
sure,
with free agents. I think we should just give them like 5 minutes before we end the show, because I think
sure, absolutely,
been over an hour.
Yes.
What free agents would you guys like to see the Kings get? Because we got money to spend now that we didn't give Cousins all that, I guess, money. Like I said, on my list, it's out of order.
Oh, damn it. I was going to do the on 3, 1, 2, 3, because you and I are both thinking the exact same thing.
Yeah,
but
and like I said, I would max him out and pay him $30 million for the next 4 years. I don't really care, because they're going to have about $50 million to spend, and they have to spend the money anyway. They're going to have a bunch of players on rookie salary contracts, so they don't have to worry about extending anyone or maxing them out anytime soon. And by that, I mean 2-3 years. So give the money to a guy who is still relatively young. I believe he'll be 24 by the time anyone signs him, which is really young. And he's one of the best three-point shooters right now. He's one of the best two-way players in the league. So, and I don't see how the Wizards can match an extension like that from the Kings if they in fact do go after him, because they're going to have to extend John Wall, and they already gave Bradley Beal about $129 million. So they're pretty much, packed with or they're in trouble with how they have to use their salary. So if the Kings are serious about signing him, they have the money and the room to do it. And I think a guy like that would embrace coming to Sac and being, maybe the first option in year one. Wait for whoever they draft to really to really elevate his game and become that number one option. And being a 2 or 3 option down the road, that's not a bad thing, Matt. And he has a lot of he has a lot of upside still, and he's going to get better as a basketball player. Again, he's only 23 years old right now. Another guy I would say is Jeff Teague. I don't want them to re-sign Darren or Ty Lawson. If they do, I'm okay with it. But I think next year they really need to start over and bring in new blood and bring in new people. And because Darren has seen all the bad that has happened the past couple of years, Ty got to see a little bit of it this year. I just want guys with a clean slate, guys that can still play, guys that are veterans, but that can still play. And I go back to, yes, I would max out Jeff Teague for 2 years max, because in 2 years we'll know that the point guard that they draft in this upcoming draft, we'll know if he's a real deal or not, and if he will be a starter in the league. Because to me, 2 years is plenty of time for a guard to say, you know what, I'm the guy. So I would front load all the money to a guy like Jeff Teague, even a guy like George Hill, guys who are solid veteran guys, solid character guys, but that can still play and still be a good mentor and role model on the court for these younger players. So I would, just max him out and pay him something that nobody else can pay him. I don't see the big deal, because that money will come off in year 3. Again, people they get angry when someone gets paid $20, $30 million, but if it's on a short-term deal, why would you care? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And you said it exactly how it's going to have to be. It's going to require a max out deal. And that's the Kings, when they were going to be making a move towards someone, if they want to make as big of a splash as they're hoping to make in free agency this offseason, it's going to take that max out deal, Leo, and it's going to take that money, because that's, quite frankly, the only bargaining chip that Vlade really has to entice someone to come to Sacramento, maybe with the exception of the Golden One Center, but that's not as huge of a deal as people might think it would be. So that's what's going to have to be. I love Otto Porter. SS Productions, who's one of our avid listeners and active in the chat, he said it best. I mean, there are going to be a lot of people offering a good amount of money for Otto Porter because he's exploded this season as one of the best three-point shooters. He's a great versatile three, a good defender. There's a lot to like about Otto Porter's game, and he is, 23 years old? He is super, super young. So there's just a lot of excitement around him. I'm on the fence, with your Jeff Teague idea, because I understand the pros and the cons to it. My gut tells me, that's a lot of money, but what you say makes a lot of sense. You're going to get it back anyway after 2 years. I mean, the cap is still going to be there. So it's not like you're just paying a guy who's just going to sit and eat it and not do anything with it, and then you're going to lose it in the end. He can certainly make the transition easier. However, from Jeff Teague's perspective, I wonder how much of longevity of a job is he looking for?
Exactly.
Would he rather take, even though he's getting max money, would he only want to take a 2-year deal and risk the chance that after 2 years, if he's not playing that well, he could be out of the league? Or
and quick disclosure, I'm thinking about it from a team standpoint. From a player standpoint, no way in hell I take 2 years.
Oh, sure. And Teague's going to think about that, but also you wag enough money in front of their face for a short term. I mean, hey, it's 2 years and a max deal. Hello. That's enticing to players. Players are going to listen, and the Kings have the money to throw around.
And that max money in 2 years might be the same or even more than what they might get in 4 years. So
right. So you just have to take a lot into account. And one of the things that I'm definitely taking into account is I believe wholeheartedly that our free agency period is going to rely heavily upon what we do in the draft, which allows for another question that I want to pose, because we asked it a little bit and we got good feedback. But now that we've had our conversation on Lonzo Ball, Leo, because I know Lonzo's up there at number 1, number 2, there's a lot of players that you could, well, maybe not a lot of players, but there are certainly enough talent to where if you moved up to spot 1 or spot 2, you have a nice big pick of the litter that you get to go for, and you really get to evaluate some options. Let's just say that's a good spot to be in. The Sacramento Kings, quite honestly, or most likely, will have 2 first-round draft picks. Do you want them to go all in, trying to trade those 2 to go get what we expect to be a star point guard like Lonzo Ball? And then now that you're only getting 1 position player out of the draft instead of 2, how is that going to affect your free agency? You see where I'm going? Like, I think exactly how the draft goes is what's going to affect free agency. Also, depending upon their point guard situation. If they let both Ty and Darren walk and they draft a young point guard like Lonzo, or, I mean, there's so many point guards, but they want maybe to bring him up and mentor him. Maybe then now they know, okay, we want to mentor him for a couple of years. Let's go hard after Jeff Teague. I think their decisions are really going to build off of one another. And I think Vlade, maybe time isn't necessarily on his side, but he has options, which I think is really, really exciting. So I know that's kind of a convoluted answer to that question because I didn't give exact names, but I would expect it to be formed and morphed off of what the Kings decide to do in the draft. I think the draft is really going to be the foundation for the future of this team.
Yeah, and I would say yes to if they get, say, a 5 to an 8, 2 picks anywhere around there. I would trade those 2 picks and get a number 1 and number 2 pick, because
try and get Lonzo.
I am in the area of I want if I'm a GM and I believe player X will be a star and player Z and L at 5 and 8 will be good players, I want that star player, because in the NBA, you need star players to win games and ultimately win championships. So if I think this guy is a shoo-in to be a star and I have the opportunity to trade for him, I'm going to do it. Some people might say, no, I have too many needs to fill. I'm going to go with 2 really good players at 5 and 6 and go that way. That's okay. But again, if I put a guy like Lonzo Ball with a Buddy Hield, a Malachi Richardson, guys and the guy like Scal, this team right now on paper, they have potential good scorers. What they need is a playmaker that can elevate these guys to another level. I don't want Lonzo scoring 20 points a night. I want him scoring 13 points, 8 assists, have about a block a game, play really good defense. And he's so versatile that he can guard a two. So if you want to bring a guy like Darren Collison, you can play these two guys. And Collison is very successful at playing the actual two guard because he's a good scorer. He has a scoring mentality. And when I said earlier, Lonzo can make Isaiah better. And having a three-guard lineup of Lonzo, Isaiah, and Bradley, that's pretty damn scary. And the way their team is set up right now, Lonzo makes more sense than Markelle Fultz. Even though Markelle might be the better player down the road and he's a better scorer, like I said, when you're that good already, I think you have to go with the bigger need. But when you're that bad like the Kings, you have to go for the best player. So, again, it goes back to preference and what you believe you're going to get at number 1 or 2. And this draft has 5 loaded point guards that can become stars. For the people that listened to the interview with Mike Smits from Draft Express that we had him on last week, he said he gave us his 5 best point guards. Those are my top 5 point guards. Actually in the same order. I have Lonzo 1, Markelle. No, he had Markelle 1. I have Lonzo 1, Markelle 2. I have De'Aaron Fox at 3. I think this guy, his talent might be the best out of all the point guards. Even though I'm a huge Lonzo Ball lover, De'Aaron Fox might be the guy and might be the best point guard in this draft. And you have a guy like Dennis Smith Jr., who I have at 4, and Frank Ntilikina from France at 5. All these guys have so much upside, and there's a lot of Dennis Smith lovers, and Frank from France. This draft is loaded, and I've been telling people this. I will not be opposed if the Kings draft 2 out of the top 5 point guards, because if they do that, all these point guards for the most part can play the 2 and guard the 2 because they're really tall and physical on defense. So if you have a guy like De'Aaron Fox and Frank, I can't say his last name, Frank from France. These guys are 6'4", 6'5", 6'6", 6'6". Man, if you get 2 of the top 5 point guards, it's going to be a really good draft for the Kings.
And I think everything that you just said just reiterated the overarching point, right, Leo, which is the Sacramento Kings have options, which is exciting.
Which is exciting.
It's very exciting. There's going to be a lot of critics, especially after what Vlade's done with his draft of Papagiannis last year, and then trading DeMarcus Cousins this season. There's going to be critics for everything he does. There's going to be critics for if he decides to
but the critics are a little bit more quieter right now because they like what he's doing and they like the future of this team, Matt.
Well,
believe it or not, man. And I hate to say, you're right. I should stop saying haters, but the people, the non-believers are really beginning to buy in a little bit. And
well,
that's
I think
okay.
When it comes to Vlade specifically, I think they're starting to finally get a glimpse or an understanding of, 1, life without DeMarcus Cousins. It does exist. The world can go on. And 2, Vlade's not just making mindless moves. I mean, there's plans. There's ideas that can actually work. And as people start to figure this out, go, that might
now
work.
Big Papa, now
right.
It makes sense, right?
Yeah, Scou's putting up, he scored 30 points. Like people are starting to see things and see things to get excited about. So it's a slow process. What I was talking about is there's always going to be critics for whatever move you're going to make, right? If the Kings go out and get Lonzo Ball, I'm very critical of Lonzo Ball. So that I'm going to be critical of that move. Yeah. And I'm going to be critical of Vlade, like, okay, Vlade, I think you're rolling the dice here. You went from one high-profile guy in DeMarcus Cousins to another one in Lonzo Ball, but it happened. And ultimately, we can share our opinions and we can share our thoughts, and that's what everybody's going to do, is share their opinions and share their thoughts on what they believe is best and what they believe they're going to do. And ultimately, there's only one guy making the decision, which is probably a good thing, because if all of us were trying to make the decisions together, nothing would get done. So Vlade has to make the moves that he thinks are the best, that are going to piss some people off and make other people happy. That's his job, and that's what he's starting to do. And the amount of options that he has this summer, I think it is extremely encouraging for him, because he's got to have all his homework. He's got to have a lot of work to do. He's got to have a lot of people in that. Man, to be a fly on the wall in that draft room, just to be able to just rub your hands together and just listen to the conversation that goes on.
And he has to trust his team, like his scouts,
right?
His VP, everybody.
I would like to see, what I really want from Vlade is, I would not be opposed to him going safe. Not necessarily, safe, I don't know if safe is the right word, but I want to see him get something that's not unconventional. Don't try and do something out of the box that might work. Go, if you have the ability to get Lonzo Ball, if you have the ability to draft these Fox, and that's what the best fit for you, and everybody knows it, make that move. Just do it. Like, don't stop trying to sell me on, we want to do this basketball 4.0 whatever GPA that I never had in school. If you want to do this whole different thing, don't sell me on getting a pick like Papagiannis that nobody heard about and telling me why you think he could be good 2 years down the road. The Kings don't need that anymore. Just make the smart move. Make the move that most people agree with. And if it fails, then it failed not just for you, but it failed for about thousands to millions of other people that thought it was going to work out with you. It's not like you're alone here. So, and I think Vlade, like you said, will trust his people to make the right decision. But we have gone way over because there's just so much to talk about. I want to end with a little happy story. And any San Francisco 49er fans, be sure to don't turn us off, but close your ears for the next 30 seconds, because this just popped up on my phone. I love stuff like this. Wide receiver for the Oakland Raiders, Amari Cooper, has bought his mom the house and the car of her dreams, which I think is fantastic. Okay. And if you go online and look it up, gorgeous house, fantastic car. That's what you should do when you're an athlete and you come into that success, is take care of those that love you. And that's universal, whether your parents are quiet or whether you're a parent like LeVar Ball. Who cares? They all deserve that, because to be a parent is one of the hardest jobs on this planet. I'm not a parent, but I know the hell that I put my mother and father through. So I can certainly respect that. So that's a great story that I thought to end with. I also wanted to reiterate and end with this. Guys, we have these kind of conversations. We have these kind of debates. And one thing that I tweeted out that Leo and I agree on 100% is any time that our debate turns into name calling. For example, if you thought Leo won our debate tonight, great. He made a hell of a lot of good points. I also made a hell of a lot of good points. If there was ever a point where Leo came back to me with an extremely definitive point that was spot on, and I turned around and said, well, you're a moron, doesn't know what the hell you're talking about, you suck, you're stupid, go away, you shouldn't be a journalist. At that point, I've lost, right? And this is to show Leo was fired up. I was fired up. We're both very passionate about this because it's what we love. It's what we cover. It's what we talk about. But we can do it in a manner that is aggressive, that attacks points, that goes right after each other, even though we disagree really wholeheartedly in this conversation and in this situation. We can go at one another and we can have a conversation. And at the end of the day, I think no less of Leo than I did an hour and a half ago. Or, I mean, how many times have we had this debate now, Leo? We had it with Jerry Reynolds at the last Kings game sitting at the table. I mean, we've had debates like this all the time. And
E-Man thinks just like you. And he hates LeVar. He doesn't hate. He dislikes LeVar Ball and how he goes about things. I think, again, our biggest disagreement is how he's gone about things, Matt.
Sure.
And I think we can all agree Lonzo Ball is a hell of a basketball player.
Mm-hmm. And yes, absolutely, we can agree there. And the point that I'm trying to make is we can have these disagreements and we can have these conversations, guys, and they can be positive. Like we can end still friends, still co-workers. And that's a problem that I feel is lost in this industry, especially when it comes to sports debate, because sports fans are some of the coolest, most passionate, most fired up people in the world. And that's the magic of sports. Sports can get people hooked and fired and bought in completely to something. Sports can save and change lives. And we've seen that. And it's changed our life. It's affected our life. And we're passionate about it. But just because we're passionate doesn't mean it has to turn me against Leo. And unfortunately, you see so much in sports debate. If I disagree with you, then we are at odds, we are enemies, and I no longer like you, and I have to viciously go after you. And I think it's a problem. And not to get too preachy, but it's a problem that I think needs to be addressed, and that the next wave of media needs to try and change. The Skip Baylesses of the world do not help this stuff, guys. They don't. I mean, it's things like, let's get an egomaniac jerk to go on national media and completely talk down to people, get proven wrong time and time again, and not be willing to man up or accept that. And just
that's his biggest issue. I mean, he makes valid points, but when someone else makes valid points, he gets personal. And
right.
And, you know, a lot of people in our industry are like that, man. And it's unfortunate because we were taught that we should never take things personal in this industry. And I just feel like sometimes being around, you know, colleagues and stuff like that, lots of people take things personal. And I'm the guy that I want to be friends with everybody. And sometimes I feel like it's like high school where if someone says something to you, you take it the wrong way. And now it's like, now you're an enemy. And to me, sports should unite people. You know what I mean? Like sports should unite people. And yeah, we're all going to have differences, man, because this is subjective. And that's the beautiful thing about this, that it would be boring if everybody would agree with on everything. That would suck to me.
Right.
But again, if you make valid points and you're respectful towards each other, and if someone makes a good valid point and pretty much say, quote unquote, beats you, don't take things personal and don't attack the guy's character because he brought up and he did his homework. I mean, there's no room for that. And Skip Bayless does that a lot.
Well, let's put it this way, and I'll put it in an analogy to wrap it up that I think best describes it better than any way we can. Thousands of people in the Golden One Center the night after DeMarcus Cousins was traded were not happy with the trade. Were angry, but they were still at the game. Other thousands of people were there that didn't really care. Another thousands of people were there that were beyond elated that the guy was gone. But in between the third and fourth quarter, when Scott Freshour comes out with the sign "On Your Feet" and Slamson's on the stilts and that music plays and everybody stands up and roars in unison, that's what's powerful about sports. And I mean, that's why I know Leo and I love soccer so much, is to see stadiums filled with hundreds of thousands of people cheering, not just for a team, but for a country.
They won't eat for days, but they'll go to a game.
Right. That's powerful. And sports debate is just another branch of that. Bottom line, Leo and I disagree on this. And we're going to disagree on a lot of things because if we agreed on everything, this podcast would suck. Yep. And we appreciate you guys sticking with us for the long haul because, man, we're approaching an hour and a half. I know there's going to be audio listeners that have stuck this out, maybe have taken an extra long run or drive to listen to everything. Man, we love you guys, and we thank you so much for this feedback. A lot of people disagree with my opinion. Tell me why I'm wrong. I love to hear it, honestly, because that's what sports conversation is all about. A lot of people are going to disagree with Leo had to say. Tell him why he's wrong or tell him why he's right. We want to hear it. We want to hear that conversation. We want to be involved with you in that way. So if you want to comment on Lonzo Ball, you want to comment on who you think the Kings should get in the draft, if you would trade the picks to try and go get a top pick, who would you go after in free agency? What did you think of March Madness? How's your bracket doing? There's so much stuff from tonight that you can get into conversation with us about at MattGeorgeKHDK on Twitter, at Beas Leo, at Cowbell Kingdom, on the website, on Instagram. There's really no way you can't reach us. And Leo, sounds like you want to say something.
Yeah, I do. One last thing. I want to just put this question out for everyone to answer after this. Would you like to trade, say, 5 and 6 for 1 and 2, draft Lonzo Ball, sign Otto Porter, and Jeff Teague? Would you be comfortable with that, Matt? And listeners, so hit us up. I don't know if you want to respond to it right now or.
That's tough. Do it one more time. Reiterate it one more time for me. I wasn't listening to the first one.
So say they get 5 and 6, they trade 5 and 6 for 1 and 2, and they land Lonzo Ball. Then in free agency, they go out and max out Jeff Teague and Otto Porter. Now you have a nucleus of Lonzo Ball, Jeff Teague at the point. Of course, you know about your shooting guards. You have Otto Porter and possibly Rudy Gay coming back, and you have Scal and Costa and Papa G. So you have a nice roster going into year 2 where many people think they'll be rebuilding. But if you can somehow land these 3 players, I think it can really catapult you to the playoffs again.
Well, I will answer it really quickly because if not, I will forget about the answer that just popped in my head right now. I don't think Lonzo Ball is necessarily the best fit for the Sacramento Kings. I have worries about him being as a Sacramento King because just based off of the history and everything that we debated about tonight. However, I would do that in a heartbeat. I'll tell you what, I would do it in a heartbeat. I would. You're getting a number 1 or number 2 pick, whether or not he works out or not.
Yep.
He's one of the best, if not the best player in the draft, which everybody's talking about and everybody knows. So that's a safe, in my opinion, a safe pick, at least in that sense. And you get Otto Porter out of it and Jeff Teague. I would do that in a heartbeat, hands down, even with all my fears, and those fears would still be there and that criticalness will still be there. I would still make that move in a heartbeat because that's a nucleus that I can get excited about. Plus Buddy Hield, plus Willie Cauley-Stein and Scal. Man, Malachi, there's a lot to drool over thinking about that. So will it happen? Who knows? Is it likely to happen? I don't know. We'll see what. And Bogdanovich, which people.
And Bogdan. I forgot about Bogdan.
Yeah. Who's he? We haven't even thought about him.
Anyways, Temple, Anthony Tolliver.
Rudy Gay when he comes back. We don't know how he's going to be. So or if he comes back, I should say. We'll find out, man. There's a lot to talk about, man. We love to have these conversations. Tonight was long but fun. We loved every second of it.
One more thing, though.
Yeah, go for it.
For the first time in 7 years, I am genuinely excited for the future of the Sacramento Kings, and I'll end it there.
And a lot of people finally are starting to agree with you, and I certainly agree with you. And it's definitely exciting. So that's going to wrap it up for us. For my partner, Leo Beas, who, yes, is still my friend. If you guys still want to be my friend, even if you're Lonzo Ball lovers.
We still love you, Matt.
Yeah, whatever. Tell me why I'm wrong. I don't care. I'm passionate about it, and you guys like the podcast even more when I'm passionate and fired up about it. Don't tell me you don't, because you're a bunch of filthy liars. But audio listeners, jump in the conversation as well. If you can try and join us live for one of our broadcasts, we would love to have you out here or with us live to really have an interaction. But if you can't, we still love you guys, and we know there are a bunch of you out there. So for my partner, Leo Beas, my name is Matt George. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Cowbell Kingdom podcast right here on cowbellkingdom.com.